Hello, my name is Connor Layerbauer. I'm a Planner B with Planning Services at the City of Oshawa. Today we'll be looking at a presentation concerning an investigation of a heritage conservation district in Columbus. I'll start by providing some background. In February 2022, City Council passed a motion directing staff to investigate a potential heritage conservation district for the former hamlet of Columbus with respect to matters generally related to timing, cost, and scope. Council directed staff to obtain input from Heritage Oshawa, the Columbus Community Advisory Committee, and property owners within the special policy area with respect to whether or not the city should advance a heritage conservation district study in Columbus. Staff will report back to Council with the results of this investigation in a future staff report. This next slide, being slide 3, shows a map of the Columbus Part 2 planning area, as shown with the thick black boundary. I'll also circle the area considered to be the former hamlet of Columbus, which generally is along the approaches to the intersection of Simcoe Street North and Columbus Road. Moving to slide 4, we will look at what is a heritage conservation district. Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act enables the Council of a municipality to designate a defined area as a heritage conservation district, also referred to as an HCD. An HCD enables the Council to manage and guide future change through the adoption of a district plan with policies and guidelines for conservation, protection, and the enhancement of the area's character or appearance. An HCD has no predetermined size or footprint. An HCD may comprise a few properties in a small area or a large area with a scattering of buildings and properties. The City of Oshawa has one HCD, being the core area of the South Field at the Oshawa Executive Airport, which contains 3 historic buildings and 1 cultural heritage landscape, being Airman's Park. On the next slide, being slide 5, we look at what is the significance of an HCD. The significance of an HCD can include its structures, streets, landscape, or other physical or spatial elements, and also important views and vistas. The quality and interest of a district may also depend on the diversity of the lifestyle and the traditions of the people who live and work there. The community forms a vital part of a district. On the next 2 slides, we'll look at what is the impact and/or benefit of an HCD. An HCD designation is a planning process that respects a community's history and identity. An HCD designation helps to ensure that this identity is conserved. An HCD plan ensures that the community's heritage conservation objectives and stewardship will be respected during the decision-making process. It allows the community to recognize and commemorate what it values within the area and contributes to the area's sense of place. During the HCD study phase, there is an opportunity for the community to develop an understanding and appreciation of the community's cultural heritage resources and the strong relationship between people and the physical environment. HCD designation allows resources and relationships to be identified, protected, and interpreted. It supports long-term economic prosperity by encouraging a sense of place through the protection of a sustainable physical and cultural environment. An HCD can be used to both encourage tourism activity and promote understanding and appreciation of an area's cultural heritage value and heritage attributes. Next, on slide 8, we'll look at how are the boundaries of an HCD determined. Boundary delineation is a critical task during the study phase of the HCD designation process. The initial study phase can be used to decide the possible boundaries of an HCD. The final definition of these boundaries should come from the findings of the HCD study informed by the community consultation process. Boundaries may include both cultural and natural features, and vacant land, infill sites, public open space, and contemporary buildings may also be included within the HCD to ensure that their future development is in keeping with the character of the area. On the next 2 slides, being slides 9 and 10, we'll look at the procedure to designate an HCD. Step 1, which is the step we are currently on, is the investigation of an HCD in relation to matters of scope, cost, and timing, and the gauging of community interest. Once that step's complete, staff will report back to Council, and Council would authorize staff to proceed or not to proceed with the HCD study phase. In the event of a decision not to proceed, the process ends there. If Council does make a decision to proceed with the HCD phase, the next step, step 3, would be consultation with the Municipal Heritage Committee, being Heritage Oshawa. Step 4 is the commencement of the study. Step 5 is the determination through that study of cultural heritage value or interest and identification of heritage attributes. Next is step 6, which is the delineation of the boundary of the HCD. and then step 7, which is public consultation, including input from Heritage Oshawa. Moving to the next slide, being slide 10, we look at step 8, which is Council's authorization to staff to proceed with the HCD implementation phase. In event of a decision not to proceed, the process ends there. In the event that Council does decide to proceed with the HCD implementation phase, step 9 is the preparation of an HCD plan and guidelines. Step 10 is the passing of a designation bylaw by Council and the adoption of that HCD plan. Step 11 is registration of the bylaw. Step 12 is any proposed changes to existing bylaws and official plan provisions. And finally, step 13 is the implementation of the HCD plan. On the next two slides, being slides 11 and 12, we'll look at why a heritage conservation district in Columbus. In 2019, ASI, a heritage consulting firm, completed a cultural heritage resource assessment for the Integrated Columbus Part 2 Planning Act and Municipal Class Environmental Assessment Act study, also known as the Columbus Part 2 Plan Study. The purpose of this report was to describe the existing conditions, present an inventory of potential cultural heritage resources, and propose appropriate mitigation measures and recommendations for minimizing and avoiding possible negative impacts. Based on the results of the assessment, ASI identified a total of 62 recognized and potential cultural heritage resources within the study area for the Columbus Part 2 Plan study. ASI recommended that the Part 2 plan incorporate policies that promote the conservation of any properties that have been determined to merit heritage recognition, and, given that many of the properties identified form a contiguous stretch of recognized or potential cultural heritage resources, an investigation into the merits of an HCD is warranted. This slide, being slide 13, shows a map of the cultural heritage resources within the Columbus Part 2 planning area and the overall Columbus study area boundary. You'll notice in the red is the Class A properties on the Heritage Oshawa inventory, which are shown to have the highest potential for designation under the Ontario Heritage Act. The green shows Class B, which have good potential for designation under the Act. And the purple are properties that are designated under the Ontario Heritage Act, Part 5. Finally, in the yellow are properties that have been identified by ASI during their field review as possibly having cultural heritage value as well. The next slide, slide 14, shows the same map, but a zoomed-in inset showing the former hamlets of Columbus area, again showing Class A, Class B, designated, and properties identified during ASI's field review. On the next two slides, being slides 15 and 16, we'll look at what is the impact to a property owner as a result of an HCD. An HCD designation gives municipalities the power to decide whether the erection of a new building or structure, or the demolition or removal of a building or structure, can take place within a designated HCD. Many activities proposed for a property in an HCD require property owners to apply to the municipality for a permit. This includes the erection of any new building or structure, demolition or removal of any building or structure, and any alterations that are not otherwise exempted in an HCD plan. Alterations to a property that come under review include restoration, repair, replacement, or modification of any heritage attributes identified in the HCD plan. Each municipality can determine what information will be required in a permit application. Property owners do not need a permit for carrying out minor alterations as described in the HCD plan or for interior alterations. This process allows municipalities to review proposed changes within an HCD to ensure that they are consistent with the objectives of the HCD plan. An HCD offers specific economic benefits to property owners by making them potentially eligible to apply for municipal tax relief. A municipality can set out additional minimum standards for the maintenance and repair of properties within an HCD. The City of Oshawa has this ability under Section 9 of the Oshawa Property Standards Bylaw. Setting out maintenance and repair expectations for owners of designated property can help Council encourage heritage conservation in the community. Finally, we'll look at how does the process to designate an HCD relate to the planning process for the Columbus Part 2 Planning Area Study. The process to designate an HCD is separate and distinct from the process currently being undertaken to advance a Part 2 planning study for the Columbus Part 2 planning area. Additionally, the formation of an HCD is guided and bound by the Ontario Heritage Act, whereas a Part 2 planning study is guided and bound by the Planning Act. HCD plans can recommend changes to official plan and zoning bylaw provisions, which could be implemented once the HCD is in place. Finally, one of the specific objectives of the Columbus Part 2 planning study is to advance development that is sensitive to the historical community of Columbus. This is the conclusion of my presentation. If you'd like to provide input, comments may be sent to myself, Connor Leyerbauer at Planning Services via email to cleyerbauer@oshawa.ca. That's CLEHERBAUER@oshawa.ca, or by mail to the Development Services Department of the City of Oshawa at Oshawa City Hall, 50 Center Street South, postal code L1H3Z7. Any questions can be sent to the same contact, cleyerbauer@oshawa.ca, or you can reach me by phone at 905-436-3311, extension 2402. Please note, the deadline for public comments is May 16th, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. If you'd like more information, please visit the project webpage at www.oshawa.ca/ColumbusHCD. Thank you.